Hello, everybody. Welcome and thank you for tuning in to the very first episode of The Hang. You might be asking yourself what the hang means. It's honestly in the title. We're just hanging out, having a conversation, hoping that you could learn or be entertained or whatever it is that you want to take out of this. So just sit back and enjoy. Just want to give a couple shout outs. Shout outs to Crafts by Lissa. It's a little too late for any Valentine's Day gifts, but St. Patrick's Day is like next month, so if you want to give your fellow drinking buddy a mug or something, I mean, I guess you don't really drink out of mugs, but like a custom flask or a glass, Crafts by Lissa is the place to go to. You can find her on Instagram, crafts_by Lissa, Lyssa. There's also an Etsy link to go check more for stuff out. So don't be a bad friend and get something from Target that some robot made without love. Go to Crafts by Lissa. Also, another shout out is to Minds Together. Let's be honest, nobody likes admitting that they need help, especially when it comes to mental health. So Minds Together is there to help anybody, big or small, it doesn't matter. Any couples, individuals, all ages. They have the licensed individuals that cater to your needs. They have all different types of methods dealing with different types of people. It's located in Forest Hills over on, I think, 72nd Avenue or Road, and between Austin and Queens Boulevard. Sorry, I don't got that exact address, but you could go to mindstogetherpc.com to find the exact address and reach out to them if you have any questions. I'm pretty sure they take all insurance, and even if they don't, they'll work something out with you. Another shout out is to Hooked Kickboxing. At Hook Kickboxing, you might imagine what you do. You kick and throw hooks and jabs and uppercuts, all that good stuff. All that good stuff also includes HIIT. That's high intensity interval training, and that's proven to be the best fat burning type of exercise out there. So if you're into that, you can go to I'mSoHooked.com, check out their schedule, their locations. They have two, one in Glendale, over at the Atlas Park Mall, and one in Fresh Meadows off of Union Turnpike and like 185th Street, something like that. Or just go to the website, check it out. Last but not least, shouts to David V Music, by the way. David V Music doesn't just bring you this podcast. The company also takes care of any of your needs that you might have as far as production goes, engineering, that's mixing, mastering, recording, and not just, music related things, anything, any consulting you want about your studio or your just home system. You could hit up David V at davidvmusic.com. By the way, this podcast has its own Instagram page as well. It is the hang_podcast. So just send us a message if you're interested in maybe coming on the podcast or have any suggestions, any comments. Hit us up. Put comments in the YouTube page as well. So without further ado, our very first guest is Devin Marie Simpson. Devin Marie Simpson. I don't know why I said it like that. It's a singer-songwriter and piano player, and actually has a song out right now with David V called Don't You. So go check it out. It's on all streaming platforms, including YouTube. It's also off an EP, so go check the rest of the EP out. All right, let's listen and tell you.
Heard that when you like a flower, you just go and pick it. And when you love one, you appreciate its point of living. So I'd rather go and water it for its pure existence. Don't you see we help each other live? Why would you be distant? Who you think I was and what did you think that I would do? Everything I wanted to do was to make sure you were good. But of course you tried to take advantage, thinking I'm a fool. Now I gotta make sure I am not misunderstood. Don't you take for granted something that doesn't have to become reality. It'll only take you time to realize there is no one like me. But the chances are that I'll still care for you are very likely. So I'll water you, cause I know that you just might grow to like me. Don't you take for granted. Don't you take for
I don't know if I told you back then, but this definitely came out a lot better than I thought it would. Like, yeah, really good job.
Good, yeah.
Yeah. But by the way, guys, that is a song that Devin and I got together back. Doesn't matter back when. But yeah, I guess the origin of the song I told you a little bit about was in one of my songwriting classes that I technically wasn't in it, but I just popped in. I'm like, yeah, this looks fun. Let's do it. And yeah, one of the assignments, or I guess the final assignment, was to write a song.
Yeah.
Simple enough, but if you've ever tried to write a song, it's not as simple. But that one came rather well. Like, the process for me was, since I do have more for production background, I just kind of made the beat behind it first, and then try to come up with a concept, put some words together, thought of like what could be catchy of a melody, and then eventually I came to Devin and was like, do you think you can just make this better? Yeah.
You're like, do something with this. I was like, okay.
Yeah, and luckily, she had a good, I guess, kind of vision for it. And yeah, that came out. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think it came out really cool, and it was cool to listen to that and then go back and listen to like what you had sent me, and listen to the difference of it. But it definitely was cool, and just like the overall end product, just everything came together really, really nicely. So I think overall it came out really, really great. Yeah.
So we got to give a shout out to Threadbare Music and Whitnell for helping us out for that. I think Whitnell definitely helped a lot. I should give him more credit than he's given, because he has a lot of background with working with vocalists of every genre, and when it comes to rap, R&B, gospel, whatever, he's done it, and he definitely brought he's just generally a good addition to what we did in there that day. Yeah, he was able to give us a lot of good advice, kind of put his own take into it, his own opinion. And I definitely took it, because what I thought it was going to be, I don't think would have been without him.
Right. Yeah, no, he definitely had, even when I was in there, he had good ideas. And like, he definitely had a vision for it too. And even with like the way he layered my vocals and the reverb and everything, especially from like the verse to the chorus, and the difference between it all was definitely a good idea on his part.
Yeah, for sure. Even as far as like the production part of it, he gave me some good ideas. Because at first it was, I don't know, what is it? 2:46, the total length. It's still a short song.
Yeah.
But I like it. I like it like that. But it was even shorter than that. It was like 2:20 maybe.
Yeah, and then we like added like an extra chorus.
Yeah, exactly.
And then like I just ad-libbed a little bit over it, and it wound up coming out really, really cool.
Yeah, exactly. I really like it. Believe it or not, this is, I think, I went back to my, when was it? I think like 2 weeks ago, to my DistroKid stats. So just to see who's out there listening, how much money we've made. But yeah, this is actually the most heard song
Nice.
out of the EP that I have. So yes.
Very cool.
Congrats.
No, that's dope.
Congrats on that.
Yeah.
So I don't think people know exactly who you are yet. So do you want to tell them who you are?
Yeah, I'm Devin Simpson. I'm 23. I'm a singer-songwriter. I also went to Queens College. And yeah, like I'm basically now just finishing up school and hoping to just continue pursuing music. That's just really all I really want to do. And like obviously I'll keep working in between there and keeping the money coming until God willing the music does it for me. But
yes.
you know, that's always been, music's always been my life. I came from a super musical family, and so from like the day I was literally 8 days old at my first gig because my dad was in a wedding band, and so he was like had showcases and gigs all the time, and so I was always there and at all the rehearsals, and that was like, that's what I want to do. I want to be on stage, and so that's just been music's just been my everything, really.
That's good. That was kind of my next question, but you kind of got into it a little bit. Did you like stereotypically start singing in a church?
No, actually, I really did not start singing in public until maybe 4 years ago, really. I had like the absolute worst stage fright. Couldn't sing in front of anybody. I had to text my parents, like, let me know when you're on your way home, so I would time it and stop singing before they would open the door. And like there were a couple of times my dad like came in while I was still singing, and he was like, "Oh, like you sounded good," and then I didn't sing for a week. Like I was just like, because he heard me, I was so freaked out.
Wow, that's so crazy.
And so then when I started in my band, I didn't even really join. I kind of just got thrown into it because of my stage fright. I didn't want to like be on stage. I was the one that like went to the rehearsals and would help them with harmonies, being like, like you're flat here, like do this. And then he like put me in front of a microphone, and I was like, please no. But yeah, no, over the years I've definitely gotten better with it. And in joining the band, then I started going to church more, and that's kind of where I've started singing in church, because that is really when I started singing in public, was in church. But yeah, no, I didn't really like do that growing up. I was more like hiding to myself, and I didn't really do anything really in front of anybody. I just really stuck to the piano growing up. But as I started singing more in public, I started doing more with the stuff I was writing, because I would write, but I didn't think I was going to do anything with it because of my stage fright. But no, the more I started singing, the more I started doing stuff with what I was writing. And so I've been writing more and singing more, and so I'm hoping to start putting out stuff soon. So
nice. That's honestly a bit of a surprise to me. I know that you perform a lot now, but I guess it wasn't always like that. That's
yeah, because this band is like what really forced me to sing in public. I joined the band in January, and then in February we had our first gig, and I was crying before the performance and after the performance. But it helps having my brother in the band too, because he like stood right next to me on stage and helps me through a lot. So yeah, the band has definitely helped me through my stage fright immensely. But yeah, now I perform all the time, and like we're getting ready for like summer gigs and summer tours and stuff like that. And that's so cool. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So now it's like, did you ever think you would actually be touring, going on the road, performing in front of unknown people?
No, I mean, it was always a dream, obviously, but I never thought, especially considering like my stage fright, I was like, this is never going to happen if you're this scared to be in front of people.
Yeah, right.
But like now, like we're like touring and like doing shows in front of like a few thousand people, and so it's like, it's crazy to think that like 4 years ago I was hiding in my closet like singing quietly so nobody would hear me.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's huge growth. But I figured there had to be something in you that actually wanted to do that, because there's people that are just scared of doing things and they never do them, because I guess it's not that much worth it to them, but it had to be worth it to you. Yeah,
and it's honestly like when I'm singing and like when I'm performing, it is really, it's hard to explain, but it's like such a freeing feeling, especially when I'm not scared. And like even yesterday, like I had performances all day, and I just was, for the first time in like a long time, just not at all scared. Nice. And like that feeling is something I just don't want to stop. And so that's kind of what makes it worth it, is pushing through that fear to get to that feeling, because if I didn't, I would just still be mortified on stage all the time, and that's not a fun feeling.
Well, yeah, exactly.
So yeah, no, it's definitely been worth all of the fear and the getting mad at him for throwing me on stage sometimes, because I wouldn't be where I am.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, sure. I mean, one of these, like, I won't call it corny because it's not at all, but it's like Instagram type of quotes.
Yeah.
it's like your dreams are on the other side of fear. They're just
Right.
waiting for you to get there. And yeah, it's crazy. But I feel like anybody, no matter who you are, unless you're this like, unless you are a little crazy in the head, I don't know if that's the right term to use, but everybody must have some type of fear at first.
Yeah.
Like no matter who you are, whether it's Michael Jackson or Bruno Mars or whoever.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like you see them up there so comfortable, and they, in your head they're like, oh, they must love doing that every day since they were little. But there had to be a point where they're like, this is scary.
Right. Yeah, no, everybody definitely has their own fears, whether it's big or small, but everybody has something, and it's just a matter of how we deal with it and how we face it. And I had such a fear of failing, and like I still struggle with that, is having a fear of failing. And so I was like, I don't want to try because then I'll fail. But it's the failing and wanting to push harder and not fail the next time that I think really drives you. But yeah, you're right. Like, I'm like some of like my favorite artists, like this one, Taya Smith, who's someone like I look up to so much. And she has a fear of like public speaking. Like she just doesn't like,
Wow.
but she has the most incredible voice and like performs in front of thousands and thousands of people. And it's just like so interesting to me that like, how are you scared? Like, how could you possibly be scared? And so it's like,
it's
when you
crazy.
put it in the perspective like that, it's like everybody has something. And so it's just, you got to just push through, and it's worth it. And sometimes it's not, but you don't know until you try. So
Right. Yeah, like you said, you have to face it. That's really what it's all about. Because it's like, once you actually go through the experience, you'll probably see that it's not that bad at all.
Right.
And then what's probably even scarier is knowing that you could have tried it, but you never did. That's truly scary.
Yeah.
To not know if you were good enough or not, and you're never gonna find out because you didn't actually try.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's funny, the manager of my band, he would always say to me, and like this is something I literally think about with everything that now I am afraid of doing, is like, if at the end of your life you were put in front of two screens, and like one screen was what your life was and one screen is what your life could have been had you not held yourself back because of fear.
Yes.
Like, what, like, do you really want there to be that dramatic of a difference between the two screens? And I was like, wow, you are, that's a good, so I think about that all the time, because it's so true. It's at the end of the day, we're our own worst enemy. We're the ones that hold ourselves back. And you could say it's not me. It's this is causing me to not want to do it. And no, but there's this factor. But at the end of the day, it's you that says go. So it's
it's true. Yeah, and if you really want it bad enough, you're gonna find some type of solution to like whatever you think is holding you back.
Right.
Yeah.
You find a way. When you really want it bad enough, you find a way.
Yeah, that's really good. That's whoever your manager is doing a good job.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I haven't been around that many managers, but from what I hear in like the industry, like most managers are just generally selfish.
You hear a lot of scary manager stories, but he really is like a father figure, and has really helped me through so much, and especially like with my fear and not believing in myself, and he would believe in me twice as much just for like to believe in me for me. But no, he really is one of like the best, and he just is just such a selfless person.
Nice.
And just, it's not about the money and how we succeed. It's more of our own personal successes, like within ourselves, and overcoming that fear and pushing ourselves further, because he sees how much we're capable of, even when we don't see it ourselves. And so it's really nice having someone who sees that in you, and pushes you to accomplish that. Like, there'll be rehearsals where he'll be like, okay, like, Devin, like, you're doing this song, and like, I know I'm playing it safe because, again, I don't want to fail. And he was like, all right, Devin's gonna go all out this time or she's leaving. And I'm like, no. He's like, just one time. He was like, give it to me one time. And then he's like, fine. Now he's like, now that you did it, he's like, go back to singing it the way you used to. And then it's like, once you know that you were capable of doing that, he knows you're not gonna want to go back to the way you're. And so he just always knows the right ways to get the best of you out of you. And it's hard to find people like that nowadays. And so it's really cool to work under someone like that.
Yeah, I always like to make analogies back to sports because I kind of grew up doing that, so I can relate a lot to like, or I could compare a lot of, I guess, positions and terms to each other. So to me, a manager is very much like a coach,
Right.
and a good coach and a good manager is there to try to not necessarily make the most money, like you said, or, I mean, I guess it depends on what you think success is, but
Right.
I think if one of them wants to be successful, they know that it's not about him or it's not about the one individual he's managing. It's like about the total performance and what the big picture is supposed to be. So
Right.
if you're out in the road trying to make a good show for people, that's kind of, I figure, what's on his mind. It's like, how are we going to give these people the best Sunday night that they can have? When, you know, takes a lot of ego cancellation, I guess you could call it, because it's like, you can't be thinking about yourself or how much money you'll be making tomorrow, or
Right.
you know, it has to be about the big picture that you all have, and that common goal that you all have for sure, and how to push you to get there. Yeah, because like, I mean, he definitely knows that you have a lot of potential, so he's gonna try to get that out of you, even if you don't like it at the moment.
And he knows there have been times I didn't like it.
Yeah.
But like, we look back and laugh. He was like, there are times where he was like, I know I was pushing you and you look like you were gonna kill me. He was like, but look at where you are now. And I'm like, you're not wrong. Like, you're absolutely not wrong. And sometimes it's hard to see it at the time. But like, once you see what you are capable of, it's really hard to stop chasing that, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And it's also like you're like, I mean, I feel like that's how it is with every individual. When they assess themselves, they're kind of undervaluing themselves, or just not thinking that they can do that much. I guess most people, because some people are just overly cocky. They're like, oh yeah, I can do it all, but in reality, they're pretty bad.
Yeah.
But people that are humble, I feel like they tend to not admit that they can do that well, like at that high of a level. But those good managers and just people around you, definitely you have to be grateful for.
Yeah.
Because they realize that you can go up to that level. Now let's work at getting there.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
100%. Like, I literally wouldn't be singing or like at all really in public if it weren't for him just shoving me in front of a microphone and saying you can do it when I said I couldn't. So, you know, it really is, you know, people believing in you, and that support system is just really so important.
Yeah. And I feel like once people start doing that, you start getting more confident within yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, I feel like, I don't know, this is how I think. I'll admit, I'll think that I can't write a certain thing, or like make a certain type of track, or just not be able to perform in general. But then once somebody kind of gives me that, I guess you call it validation, that I am capable of doing that and more, is when I'll start actually believing in them. It's funny because I'll believe them before I believe me, which I guess shouldn't be that way. Like, you should definitely believe in yourself first and foremost. But once you get that confirmation from an outside source,
Right.
it's when you're like, yeah, he might be right. Let's see.
And it's funny because like, even for me, like, I would have loved for that to have been true, but I still just assumed everybody was lying to me. Like, I was just no, I was like, even though there's like a decent amount of you saying the same thing, I still think that I'm not capable of doing it. And so it really took like the full 4 years. Like, it really wasn't until last year. And I think, and even in the beginning of the last year, I was still struggling with shows. But it really like wasn't until like last year, I guess, that I really was not completely afraid. But it took like 3 years of hearing people say, no, like, you're great. Like, you're like, you can do this, you can do that. And I was like, thanks, but I think you're lying. And so it's just like, if I can't believe them and I can't believe me, it just becomes like this vicious cycle of, well, then you're just going to sit here and you're not going to progress, because if you're not going to believe them and you're not going to believe in yourself, then what are you doing? And so it took time, but when you start believing others, but like also just believing in yourself, because at the end of the day, then other people may not think that you're great, and people may say like, oh no, I don't think that you're capable of doing that. And so you can't really always rely solely on believing on others' opinions, because they have their own opinions and that's fine. But you can't let that be the basis of whether or not you keep going,
Yeah, you gotta have I mean, in any industry really, but especially in this one that it's very opinionated. Like it's based a lot on that.
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, you're bound to just, even if you try not to listen at all, like it's gonna reach you one way or another.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you gotta have kind of that strong mind to.
It's a matter of how you respond to it. You can sit with it and let it hurt you, or you can say, okay, I respect that, and you can take their feedback and see what they're hearing, and maybe there are things that you can improve on, and even if not, that's okay. Not everybody's gonna like you, but
yeah, for sure.
You're, at the end of the day, you're doing it for you, not for them, and so
yeah,
that's just really like the mindset you have to keep in order to not let their lack of, I guess, appreciation affect you.
Listen, if you have people telling you that you're not that good, I feel like you're doing something right.
Right.
I mean, at first when people meet you, they'll probably say, "Oh yeah, it's nice," or it's okay. And then eventually, well, first of all, the first people I think that will tell you that you're not doing something right, or that they don't like the way something is, will be the people closest to you, like the people who actually care about how you progress.
Right.
Because they'll want you to improve on certain things, and they'll let you know this is what you can get better at. Yeah. And then eventually you get to those people that could be called, I guess, haters, that just are jealous or don't want you to feel happy,
right?
And because they see you doing well, they're gonna be like, well, I don't think it's that good, so stop trying.
Yeah. You're gonna have those, and you have to just remind yourself we're all on different paths. So like, I know people, like I have friends like that are incredibly amazing singers, and I'm like, that is amazing for you, and like I really am so happy for them.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's hard to find, because so many like people nowadays, it's like they only want to be the only good singer, and like they struggle being friends with other people that are also talented.
Yeah, that's really toxic.
And it's hard, and so like I've had to like remove myself from situations like that. But I literally end it with like, listen, I want the best for you. Like this is your journey, and I want whatever your dreams are for them to come true. I was like, because they're not my dreams, and it's not my journey. We're on different paths, and we'll succeed at different rates.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so you definitely have, especially like the people that are close to you, it's hard, like, because you have some that really want what's best for you, and they'll be honest with you, and either they love it, or if they don't, they'll tell you ways that they think you can improve. But then you also have the people that are like, oh yeah, she's good, but just because they don't want to overgas you up, because then it might take away from people liking them. But then you also have the people who don't tell you the truth and say, oh yeah, no, it's great, when it's not. And that's also, if you're one of those friends who say to your friend, oh no, I love it, it was great, just because they're your friend, you're doing them a disservice.
Yeah, for sure.
You want them to be able to prove and say, listen, like, I think it's great, but I think you can do this. And like, I have this friend, and we literally just send each other stuff all the time. I'm like, listen, like, can you just listen to this, give me some feedback, what can I fix? Like, I know it needs work, so just, and I think people are scared of hurting people's feelings, but I'm like, we're in, if you're going to be pursuing music, or really any like type of creative entertainment type thing, you need to be open to constructive criticism. And when you have friends that are trying to save your feelings, you wind up stuck in this. You wind up putting out stuff that you think is great, and you're like, oh well, all my friends said it was great, and I'm like, well, they lied to you. and I'm sorry, and I'm not saying that it's bad, but I'm saying that your friends need to be honest with you. And it may suck to hear at first. Nobody wants to hear that, oh, I didn't really like it. But you should also take that and appreciate the fact that they told you before you sent it out to the entire world to listen to, and then it's on Spotify and it's there, and so you gotta understand that it's okay to not like someone's things, but just give them the criticism. Like, what didn't you like about it, and what do you think they can change to fix it? And that's how you help your friends progress, is not by lying to them, but just really just being honest with them, and being like, listen, I want this for you. I think that this could be a little better here, or like this part I didn't like because, and then they can go back and be like, well, I disagree. And then they just don't fix it, and that's fine. And that's on them. But then also they could be like, well, I see what you're saying, and maybe they can adjust some things,
right?
But at the end of the day, it comes down to honesty. And I feel like a lot of people struggle with being honest with their artistic friends.
That's really true. Yeah. Anybody who,
anybody who does anything artistic, creative, I feel like we have to do that, which is work with each other a lot more and stop having this mindset that there's only one place at the top, because it's like there's no way you'll go anywhere with that mindset.
Right.
It's like nobody's gonna want to work with you,
No.
or I don't think when you even get there will people actually like you. And it's like, if we are creating, I like that you've definitely done that with me. You've sent me stuff and I tried my best to be honest. Even though I do like it, I'm still gonna try to find something in there that could be better, because it's like, I hate it. I mean, yeah, it's my mom and she doesn't make songs or music or whatever.
Right.
But I don't like it when I let my mom hear something and she's like, "Oh yeah, it's good." I'm like, "You just said that because you're my mom,
right?
Like,
yeah.
you like everything I do."
Yeah.
But yeah, anybody, like, somebody sent me something a couple days ago, and I liked the whole thing, but I told them, like, the drum pattern, like, I was trying to be specific as possible,
Right.
because I know what it's like. I know what kind of answers they want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I don't like the drum pattern. I don't like the snare when it comes in on that offbeat. Like,
Right.
Specific things like that, I think, are a lot better for, like, the creator, that, like, they definitely want to hear that kind of stuff.
Right.
When, instead of, like you said, not just lying to them and be like, "Oh yeah, it's good, it's cool."
Right. And like their intentions could be good, but like you're just ultimately not helping them in the long run. And so you gotta push past that. And like even like with like my parents, like my brother and I, my brother, my dad and I all write. And so we're constantly, actually on the way here, my dad sent me this song that he's been working on, and he like sent it to like the family, and he was like, "Okay, like give me your feedback and stuff like that." So like on the way home I have to call him and let him know, like, loved it. I just think like these are things that you can fix, and I think this part is like a little awkward here and stuff like that. But I know that at the end of the day, he appreciates it. And I know he's going to tonight go back to the studio and start tweaking those things and fixing what he can. But it also is like, it humbles you, it reminds you that you don't have all the answers. You don't know everything you're doing. And even though you think, oh, this is a great idea, this is going to be an awesome thing. And then I'll send it to my brother and he's like, yeah, but you can do this. And I'm like, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, if you keep your mind open, you'll notice that.
You got to be open-minded.
Yeah, you could definitely get help from everywhere. Even if it's, what I like to do actually is get people from like outside the genre.
Yeah. I literally have my select, like I have like a group of like 10 different people that like I know, like one's like more of like a rock type singer. I have like an indie singer. My brother, he's more of like I really don't even know how to describe his music, but it's more of like an R&B, but like funky, jazz. My brother's just a musical genius, but that's another story. But I just try to find different people, and also people that aren't exactly musical, or don't really write themselves, just to get really a variety of different opinions. Because at the end of the day, a bunch of different people are going to be listening to it. So I want to know what that, indie singer would have thought of that, and what that, average person, I don't want to say average person, but like that person who's not just like in the music at all really would think of it. And so it's a matter of really getting different opinions and hearing what different people have to say. And like there's like one song I sent out, and like I got a bunch of different opinions, and some people loved this certain part and some people didn't. And so it's just trying to find a compromise and how I can find, but at the end of the day, it overall makes it better. You're obviously not going to please everyone, and that's why we have genres, because people listen to different things, but at least you get the opinions of, people from different areas and aspects that have different ears, because the more ears, the better,
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's just super important to have others listen.
Yeah, especially like you said, the average listener, like the person who doesn't go out and create music all the time. Like that's who's probably gonna hear most of your music anyway. That's gonna be the majority of your audience. So even though they can't give you very specific technical feedback, like, oh, I don't like this bar or whatever, because they don't know what that is. They could at least give you, like, at the end of the day, it is all about the feeling you get. So, they have feelings. They know what feeling they got.
Music does something for everyone. Yeah. So like ultimately, and that's like a big part of it, is like music is just this escape for so many people, for most people, and it has been forever. So it's just at the end of the day, like we're creating something to hopefully be that for somebody. And so you want to do that to the best of your capability. So it's whether they are creating music or they're not, like they still know what music does to them and like how it makes them feel. And so if it's not doing that for them, like let me know, you know, like I want to fix that. And so it's, you know, and not all songs are, you know, meant to emotionally provoke people, but like those that are, you want to make sure that, you know, you're doing it in the right way and, you know, using the right aspects and the right instrumentation for it, you know. And so, you know, at the end of the day, again, and it sounds like I'm just repeating myself, but opinions are super important, but at the same time, they aren't everything. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, you want to get people's opinions and try to improve like your music, but it doesn't attest to who you are and like how you will succeed, you know. And like that's something I've struggled with is, you know, yeah, opinions, you need to get people's opinions and okay, how can I improve this and stuff like that and constructive criticism, but it doesn't define who you are. Like just because they didn't like your song and they didn't like how this sounded, it doesn't mean that you suck as a singer or a writer or anything like that. It just isn't for them. And I think a lot of people struggle with understanding that it's not a personal attack. It's just they just didn't like your song. And it's like I used to have an obsession with Bruno Mars, and then like I also had like a friend who couldn't stand Bruno Mars, and like if we both met Bruno Mars, I don't think he would think that she like he wouldn't be offended if he was like, listen, my music isn't for everyone, and like that's fine. But you just have to like remind yourself that it's not, it doesn't mean she hates you, just she doesn't like your music, and that's okay, you know. So it's little personal reminders, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, you kind of said that you're trying to give others this feeling when you're over here creating, but what about yourself? Like, what feelings do you, or I guess, make you want to even be doing this? Because like obviously, other than the fact that you grew up in a musical family and then it's bound to just rub off on you, like why did you even bother still doing this?
I guess for what it does for me, like I have like my playlist that I listen to when I'm in certain moods, and I have certain artists that just take me to certain places. But for me, just like the process of writing, a lot of my writing comes from just journals and just personal experiences that I wound up just turning into songs. And because I spent a lot of my time when I was younger, also like when I was sad, I would just kind of sit at the piano. And so for me, sometimes I kind of just sit at the piano and play, and that's kind of how I express my feelings. And so combining that, I would start recording what I was playing at the piano and then be like, oh, this kind of works with this day that I was feeling this in my journal. And then it kind of winds up creating itself, but kind of like being able to have that outlet for my emotions, I guess, is why I keep doing it. Because, you know, and especially like when you're on stage and being that for people and like having people come up, like we've had meet and greets and like having people of like all ages come up to you and being like, you don't realize like what your music does. And like that in itself is just like it's like, how can you not want to keep doing that, you know, and being that for people. And we have people like on Facebook that are like, when are you coming back? And you don't understand, like my wife is going through this, and like she listens, and like just knowing that you can be that for people is just, it's beyond rewarding. And so it's like you just keep chasing after that, because at the end of the day, it's like you're doing good for others, which is fulfilling for me. And so even though it's like, it's beneficial for you, and that's what I want to do is make that music for you, you don't realize how good that makes me feel, is knowing that I'm providing that for you. And so I guess that's also why I do it, is to be that for other people, because it really is a rewarding.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's funny. I don't have a source exactly of where I'm getting my information, but I have heard that like the action of helping out other people raises your serotonin levels more than doing actual drugs or something like that. So you're doing something very healthy.
It is, you know, though. It's a healthy outlet, and it really does. It makes you happier, and sometimes it doesn't. It makes you sad sometimes, you know. It makes you angry, but it makes you feel at the end of the day. And I think that's super important, is to be able to feel and just have music provoke emotion, whatever that may be. Like, you know, when I go to the gym, I listen to different music than I would listen to when I was driving on the way here.
Yeah, for sure.
But like the fact that different music has the capability of raising different emotions from you at certain times, and being able to choose which music you listen to at certain times for that reason, I think is really just such an amazing concept. But yeah, and so it's just, that's just what you want to, I guess, keep doing, is like when you're like writing, is, you know, feel and like just not, you know, keep things in, because I'm the type of person that suppresses my feelings. I'm like a shock absorber. And so anytime anything bad happens to me, I'm like, okay, we're just going to work through it. And I just kind of suppress it and keep going. And so it's not really until I'm like really writing or like at the piano that I start to like actually face my emotions and face what I'm feeling. And again, it's like the fact that music is able to do that. And that's also like my drive, is because I'm not good at handling my like dealing with my emotions, my music allows me to. And so it's like storytelling too. And so it's just, when I don't know how to talk about my feelings, I sing about it and I write about it. And so it's also just an escape for me. And it helps me through a lot of things, because when you don't deal with things, it becomes a lot, and, you know, you get overwhelmed, and it's hard to deal with all at once, especially when you keep suppressing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And so just to have that outlet, and whether you like put the music out or if it's just for you and just for your own emotional cleanse, either way, I think it's important, you know, to have that outlet, whether it's music, art, sports, like whatever that is, but to be able to find a healthy way to deal with your emotions, I think is super important.
Yeah, because everybody has to do it one way or another. Even if they don't realize it, that emotion is going to come out when you least expect it. Mm-hmm. But if you choose to do it through something healthy, like you said, sports, music,
right,
art, it's not only are you doing something healthy for yourself, like therapeutic, but you're actually going to contribute to society. So you're going to put out something out there that people can also probably feel the same emotion or know where you're coming from. And that's what I love about music. It's like, I mean, I don't know all the history of music, but I know for sure that's like the number one way, or like the number one thing that humans have that makes them human. It's like, I don't know if when we have robots, like, will there be music? Yes. It's like, I don't think they'll have emotions or feelings like we do. So it's like, how will you be able to create something that carries that emotion wherever you go? And it's like I said, I don't know how far back, you know, proper music goes, but I know at least, you know, everybody says, you know, everything originates back to Africa, and I know for sure that that's where basically all percussion originated. And that was a way of expressing their, I mean, I'm pretty sure they did it for different reasons. It was for either religious or just celebration or relaying messages between each other. It's like, there's emotion in any like little thing that you think is music. And that's just like, as long as humans have lived and will live, I'm pretty sure music will be around too.
Yeah.
Because it's like, definitely, it's like one of the best and easiest ways to communicate.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. No. I was just checking the time, see how long we're going. But if you want to go longer, you can.
Totally up to you.
Yeah. I mean, this is honestly why I started this, because it's like, I like having these types of discussions that people don't ever really think about.
Right.
Actually, they probably do think about it. They just don't know that they're thinking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, people, like, not everybody, like, for example, like, I had my brother on, and he's, oh man, it's my brother now, I don't remember what he's majoring. Some type of engineering, I think, electrical or mechanical. But, yeah, he was, like, breaking things down for me, and I'm like, I never thought of things like that. Like, I'm involved in technology too, I guess, when it comes to like audio engineering.
Right.
But I don't think about the things he does. And it's like, I just like buy them and use them,
Yeah.
and then when they don't work, if I can't fix it, I give it to one of you guys, like kind of thing.
Right.
So and then yeah, we just got into a conversation about how even as much as like anything like an audio mixer interface, there's definitely different types of people kind of having some input into it. So there's no way just a straight mechanical or electric engineer can make a soundboard, because they don't know, like, unless they're really into music, they don't know what an audio engineer is trying to do.
Right.
So they're gonna need, an engineer, some type of probably music consultant, different types of engineers to make this one thing. And it's the same, I feel like, with music and with a song. It's like, obviously there are those people that are just really good at everything. God bless them. But even then, like, I remember I tried to make a project a couple years ago, and I tried to do everything, like literally everything, as far as like the writing, production, engineering, mixing, mastering, and it came out bad. it just did not sound good. So I don't think I ever put it out. But but yeah, this time around, I got people like you, people like Whitnell, other writers, other musicians, and I think it came out pretty good. I mean, that's up to
listen,
you to
it takes
decide.
a village. It really does. And until you're willing to accept that, it's hard to do it on your own. And it's not that you're not capable of doing it on your own, but it just is important to have other people, whether it be other singers or other ears or just other technological people. But it's hard when you do it on your own, because even though you may think you're open-minded and you may think you're thinking of everything, at the end of the day you're not, because
it's really hard.
So it's just like, and at the end you really only listen to, like, even if you listen to like all the music, you have your own set, mindset and opinions, and so you do need other ears. And yeah, you may be talented, but maybe somebody else's voice may sound better on this specific song, or, maybe you'll need like instrumentation. And like, I know for me, like I do like a lot of like MIDI instruments when I'm like drafting my stuff, but like I want to have as many live instruments as possible. So I'm like, oh, like my friend plays a guitar, I'm going to like have him on it. And like I have my brother like on half my songs, he's playing bass, he's on his Moog, he's playing the drums. Like I as much as I can get other people
for sure.
Involved, because like at the end of the day, like really it's like we are becoming such a technological society, and so they are, like, with machines are taking a lot of jobs. And so when you have people that are so gifted, you want to make sure that they're able to use those gifts, and you don't want to, like, I could just leave it as a MIDI, a whole MIDI project. But at the end of the day, I also want to perform. And so I don't want to be performing with tracks. Like, I want to have a full band. Like, give me a full band. Give me a horn section.
Yes.
And so, but like, I want people to be heard and have their gifts known. Because a lot of people, like, like my friend, like I was actually playing with him yesterday. He's an incredible guitarist, and especially for his age, but like he doesn't write. And so like, unless he's like when he's performing with us, like, like people hear him, but like other than that, like no one really is gonna hear what he's doing. So like if I can have him on a project, I want to have people hear live instruments, because so many people like have like their own like home studios, and a lot of people like, you can be a great singer, but not many people play that much anymore and have live instruments. And so the more live instruments, and I think also like growing up with my dad being in a wedding band, I only saw live instruments. So it's just like, for me, like I hate performing with, like, sometimes like with church, like we'll like have like a track, and it's rare now because like even like at church, like none of us like using tracks. And like we have like a full like worship teams, like it's a full band and we're all playing. But like just the tracks, it just feels like I almost feel like an imposter. I'm like, it's not really us. Like it's not me. It's a computer. It's a lie. But no, it's I have such a love for live instruments, and like going to concerts with live instruments, and especially like hearing how they change the songs live as compared to how they did it on the track. I love that. And I have like my brother and I, like, we geek out over chords. And so, like, we'll be like literally, and sometimes like we'll be like on stage together, and sometimes like our friend like Greg will like hit like a certain chord, and we all like look at each other like, oh, like that was so
okay,
great. And
right.
so like there are certain songs like we'll literally like we like to have a group chat with like a few of us, and we're like we just send songs and we're like, chords, guys, listen, just chords. And so it's like, and like so few people have an appreciation for that these days, because like again, like all the songs on the radio are the same 4 chords, and they're all tracks, and it's just like it's and it's selling, so it's like I can't even get mad at them for it. Like, you have to go where the money goes apparently in this industry. But it's you know, there's just such a difference with live music, and it's so much more fun, and just being on stage with like just people who are so gifted, and like you just vibe off each other.
For sure.
It's just it's so different than just being you and the track. And so it's just and so when you find people who have those talents and you have those gifts, you want to hold on to them, and you want to, you know, utilize them as much as you can, because at the end of the day, like, that also is what makes you stand apart from everyone, is because at the end of the day, like, everybody's using tracks, you know, and everyone's using MIDI. And so it's really cool getting to see, and you meet different people who are just incredibly gifted and teach you different things. And like, I have one friend, like, I'm teaching him piano, and like he's teaching me guitar. And so it's like you get to learn different things and pick up different things. And my brother, like, he's taught himself pretty much every single instrument. And so it's like I come home sometimes and I'm like, why is there a trumpet here? And he was like, I figured I'd learn that too. And I'm like, honestly, good for you, because he could be a one-man band if he wanted to. Yeah. And so it's just like having those instruments and having the capability of playing those is hard to find nowadays. And especially with society really trying to cut the art programs from school is absolutely insane to me. Because they don't realize the outlet it is for kids. And like, you see like so many of, and especially like the drama departments, like of all departments in all schools, like I never was really involved. I was in the pit orchestra for all like the school plays. But like the love that you find in the drama department and like any school is unbelievable, especially in like high schools and middle schools where people can just be so hateful, and like there's like so many bullies. But like you are always seeing that like the drama department, like the drama kids are always in the drama hall, because that's the one place where they feel at home and they feel loved,
for sure,
and accepted. And it's just like, you know, they're able to create and figure out what their gifts are and what their talents are. And so many parents want their kids to be the next engineer, the next lawyer, and those are all incredible jobs, yes, but they should also be allowed to have another outlet, you know? And so when they're trying to cut funding for these programs, I'm like, you're hurting these kids by doing that. And it's just crazy. And like, you see like so many kids who are starting to understand who they are. And most of them find themselves in the drama department because it is the most accepting and loving. And it's just, when you're able to find that outlet, you have so many less people acting out and, you know, choosing the wrong ways to handle things because they find healthy outlets that way, you know? And so to cut funding for that is just absurd.
You're only limiting the growth of a child or a teenager. Right. It's like, how are they ever going to know that that's their thing if that's not there for them? Like, I honestly started getting into music at very late, like in my late teens, because of that reason. Because there were no, like, I would go to a music class during elementary school, but it was like, you know, this, nothing against old ladies, but you were just singing, you know, like, Mary Had a Little Lamb, like, not learning any actual, like, you know, techniques about music or education. And it's like, I'm kind of having to play catch up now that I found that, like, yeah, I want to be in this industry, but I wasn't really getting the training ever. But it's cool, like, it's never too late. But yeah, it's like I try my best now, that because I know there's still, like, it's probably getting worse now, as far as like how many music programs there are out there.
They're trying so hard.
Yeah, and it's like, it's all about, you know, STEM, so like science, technology, blah blah blah, and math, because
machines are taking over.
Yeah, but the crazy part is that, like, music is directly tied to those fields. So it's like, first of all, we're counting all the time. We're counting all the time. Whenever lyrics are written, that's writing, that's reading. And then if you want to get into the technology part of it, it's like, it's so deep, like this, you know, the arts in general goes so deep into like other I guess, what are they called?
Fields.
Yeah, fields or subjects.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, the way people try to put lines between things is like
You
that's
can
not
have
how
both. Like it is
Yeah.
okay to have both, and like you can be a mechanical engineer and still go play your guitar after to go
Yeah, for
like
sure.
de-stress from your crazy day at work or school, because those jobs are incredibly stressful, but then you're taking away the outlet that they could have, you know.
Right.
And like you should also give the kids the option to not want to do music, you know, but by preventing them from even figuring it out, you know, like how is that fair?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's
And
funny
so
going back to my brother. Sorry to cut you
no,
off.
no,
But,
you're good.
like, my mom never put me in actual music classes, but he put him in guitar, and then after like a year or two, it's like he hated guitar because I guess he just didn't actually want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then now he's gonna be an engineer. So like you said, let them find out that they don't want to do
Right.
that, or if they do want to do that,
Yeah.
for sure.
Definitely. It's but yeah, no, you said, it's just it's a shame to see, you know, and I'm hopeful that schools are starting to notice that. And a lot of schools are really at least their departments are doing really well with raising awareness for that and really fighting back. And I know they're not going to go down without a fight, because they shouldn't.
Yeah, I hope so.
But yeah, no. And like, it doesn't matter what field you go into, like be the best lawyer, be the best doctor, be the best, you know, school lunch. Like it doesn't matter what you
Right.
decide to be. But you should have the options. And what they're doing is basically telling you, listen, you could do anything you want to do as long as it has to do with being somewhere in this small realm that we're allowing you to
Right.
be. And so it's just, it sucks to watch. And I'm fortunate enough that I was in school and having a really good music program. But, you know, it just watching how it's going now is just, it's sad. But yeah, no, I'm hopeful that, you know, kids still have the opportunity to grow and have that outlet and be what they want to be and make the decisions on their own, because society's trying so hard to make decisions for everyone
Yeah,
nowadays.
it's crazy,
It is crazy. And so I hope kids still have the option to figure out who they want to be on their own terms without school and society trying to decide for them, or their parents, because a lot of parents try to do that too. They're like, oh yeah, you can do anything as long as you are a doctor.
Yeah.
And so it's just I hope that that kids still have the ability to have their own opinions and make their own decisions as far as who they want to be and what they want to be when they grow
Yeah,
up.
for sure. I mean, it's like you said, about the parent, because if they tend to be kind of close-minded or just biased towards one thing, it'll be very hard for the kid to expand their just awareness about what's out there.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll just grow up having this mentality of, like, not that it's a bad thing to be a doctor, but it's like, I don't know how healthy it could be to just grow up just having a limited amount of options of what you can do or what you want to be,
Yeah.
or like what you can pursue. And like even nowadays, like I'm not the greatest or most knowledgeable person, but I try to teach kids or whatever kids I interact with as much as I can about the possibilities in this industry, you know, because it's not everybody has to be the main head artist, like, you know.
Right. And that's like also like the big, and like even for me is like, and that's what I'm dealing with even like right now is everyone's like, okay, so you're finishing school, so what are you doing next? And you tell people you want to be a singer-songwriter and they're like, that's cute, but like, what do you actually
really
want to do?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, that is what I want to do. That's
Yeah.
what I'm doing and going to do. However, I will just have other jobs to like, you know, financially, you know,
Right.
support me. But, you know, that conversation is what also scares kids from wanting to pursue music, is because everyone's like, oh, well, there's no, and like, even like teachers have to deal with this too, is everyone's like, well, there's no money in that field unless like, you know, you are doing this. And like with music, it's like, unless you make it, you're not doing anything, which like, yes, has a truth to it, but like, I'm not doing it to be the next Beyonce. I'm doing it
Right.
because I want to be that, you know, release for other people. I want to, you know, it's my release and it's my way of expressing myself. And I want to, you know, allow other people to have that outlet. and so at the end of the day, I was like, I it's not about the money for me. It's just something that I want to and need to do for the rest of my life. Like I can't not be doing music. I can't not be writing and sharing my music. So I will keep doing it, and I'll work in the meantime, and that's fine with me. But it's that conversation that really shies kids away is, well, you can't succeed that way. And so it's just, yeah, it's possible you won't succeed, but you also have the right to try, you know? And like, even like for my dad, he went to school to be I think he was he was studying to be a mechanical engineer, did 3 years at the University of Alabama, and then moved to New York to pursue music. Didn't finish his degree. He was like, I cannot be doing this for the rest of my life, because he also loved music. And so did his brother. And he was like, yeah, like, I'm good at this. I'm smart. And like, he could finish his degree, or I can go do what I want to love. Well, do what I love, and hope it pays off. And he ultimately met my mom. So I'm here because he decided to pursue his dream. So good on you, Dad.
Right, look at that.
But no, it's just, you know, and like his parents didn't force him to go into that, you know, and when he decided to leave, they weren't like mad. They were just like, are you positive this is what you want to do? And he said yes. And they said, okay, you know, but it's a matter of also having, you know, the parents that support you, because I have so many friends whose parents are like, no, like, this is what you're doing. Sorry.
Right, yes.
And I see the way it affects them, and I see the constant state of stress that they live in. And everybody has their own stressors, but you want them to be, you know, self-inflicted. Like, you don't want it to be coming from your parents, you know?
Yeah, that's probably the
and
worst.
you don't want to be pursuing your dream. And like, yeah, people dream about being doctors, and that's incredible, you know, but I want it to be their dream, not their parents' dream, and not society's dream for them. So, you know, it's just, if that's what you want to do, absolutely go be the best doctor you can be, but do it because you want to do it, not because you didn't have a choice.
Yeah, those supporting parents are like, I mean, I think they honestly are rare, and I think I'm lucky to have one of them, because it's like you said, they're probably thinking in their mind growing up, you know, he's gonna grow up and have a real profession, like, you know, engineer, doctor, whatnot. And then, like, for example, for me, once I told my family that this is the career that I wanted to pursue, I definitely got a lot of pushback. Like, you're trying to convince me, you know, there's other options. Why do you think about this and that? And it's like, yeah, I already thought about it. And this was what feels comfortable for me.
Right.
And to this day, my mom does support me, like, in every way she can. So it's like, I don't know if everybody has that
They
support.
don't. No, they definitely
honest.
don't. And I have friends that do pursue music, and their parents aren't happy about it. But I also have so much respect for the fact that they're still pursuing it despite that, you know.
It probably even takes more courage than
it does. And
support,
it's hard, because it's like, you know, at the end of the day, like, they're your parents, and depending on like your dynamic with them, like, you want them to support you. I mean, everybody wants their parents to support them, but like, you want them to, you know, be standing by you with all the decisions you make. And so it's hard when they don't support your decision. And I'm beyond blessed to have two parents that are at every single show. And my mom's traveling here, there, up and down the East Coast, wherever we are, and she's there. She's like, I'm taking off work, I'll be there.
Awesome.
And so it's like, and then you see some parents that are like, I don't understand why you're doing that. And it's so sad to see. But you know, it is the reality of it. And so, you know, you just have to be thankful for having that support system when you do have it, you know, and running with it, because not everybody is able to have that and have those parents that are like, go follow your dreams.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and like, my parents both know, like, yeah, in the music industry is difficult, and it's going to be hard, but that is what you want to do. And they also can't see me doing anything else. And so to have that, kind of support, especially when I struggle believing in myself, is definitely something I don't take for granted.
Yeah, that's it's another thing too, that I guess you are lucky to have that, like, parents that can physically be there to support you, because there's some parents that even if they wanted to support you, they can't. Like, they really don't have the ability to do so, or don't know how to do so, you know, which is like, I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate, but as long as you know that at least spiritually they're behind your back,
right,
you could definitely go far and do something with it. I'm wondering, I mean, this is like one of those what ifs, and probably will never happen, but I'm just curious if they did take away the ability for you to pursue music, do you think what do you think you'd be up to?
like, pursue music as in like performing and writing?
Yeah, like, as like something you want to do all the time, or like a career choice?
Well, I originally was studying to be I was studying music therapy.
Oh, okay.
And the only reason I stopped was just because when I started the program, they didn't make it clear how much of your time it took. And so pursuing music therapy, I majored in, my concentration was piano. And so I took piano lessons until I was 12, and then I self-taught myself for NISMA every year. And so like I was used to like learning one level 6 NISMA piece a year, but then like in music therapy I had to learn 3 every semester.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And so I was like in the practice room until like 12, and then I would have to still go back and do my homework. And so
Right.
it was either I did well in my music therapy classes or I did well in my gen eds, but there was no both. And then I started resenting the piano because it was all I was doing, and because I was so used to working at this slower pace, and then having juries and stuff, I was just like, let me just step back from this. And I could always go back, and get my music therapy degree when I'm older, if that's something I still want to do. But if I couldn't pursue music, or if my parents didn't let me pursue music, I probably would be a vet.
Nice.
I always wanted to be a vet. The only reason I really didn't go into it, that or psychology, but the only reason I didn't become a vet is because I'm too emotionally attached to animals.
Oh, it would've been sad.
So I would not, and it's not a happy job all the time, obviously.
Yeah,
And so
sure.
I just know for a fact I would have a very hard time with that. But no, I'm super fascinated by the body and how it works. And so between like, that or like some kind of thing in the medical field, I probably would have done. But I really don't. It's a very hard question to answer because I physically
exactly.
cannot imagine my life without
Yeah,
music in it.
that's why I was like, this probably would never happen.
No,
but-
no, I don't. No.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
I can't
my
blame you.
whole, because especially like I said, since I've been 8 days old, I've been at gigs.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's not even like I just like grew up just doing sports or whatever and then decided I wanted to do music. Like it's just been like, we'd be in car rides and my dad's like 4-part harmony, ready, set, go. And then like we're all just like singing along to the song. And my mom's like, Devin, you're on my harmony. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm like 7 trying to find the 3rd harmony. But it was never like forced. It was never like, like Crazy Joe Jackson. It was more just like for fun. Like, I just want to see what you're capable of.
Yeah, that's good.
And like my brother and I would like put the Earth, Wind and Fire live in concert DVD on, and like we would get dressed up, and like I have this picture of my brother
yes.
and like he's like in a suit and like I'm dressed up in like one of my skating uniforms, and we're like having we have like my dad's microphones, and we're literally like acting out and like dancing to the entire concert. Like we had their entire concert down. Like we had their dance moves and everything. But like even from then my mom was like, I knew you guys that's just what you guys were gonna do, was you guys were gonna be on stage, you guys were gonna be doing music, because that's all we've done, was just find music in some capacity. And Jordan was like 1.5 years and he was rhythmically like correctly playing the drum part
nice.
To a song, and my parents were like, okay, so we need to get him a drum set. And then like I taught myself Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on my Barbie piano, and they were like, okay, so she's getting a piano. And that's kind of just how it was. But they were always open to figuring out what our talents were and just supporting that. So I think that is also why I can't imagine like what my life would be without it, is because my entire life has been music. So I really don't know.
Yeah, I can't really see you doing anything else.
No. Like I can't.
And yeah, don't do anything else, to be honest. 'Cause
No.
It's like, yeah, you're doing pretty well so far.
Yeah.
So keep going.
Yeah, no, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah,
It's
for
all I
sure.
want to do. And I'm going to start now. And especially now that I actually have confidence in it, because mind you, like I've spent like the last 4 years being mortified and like terrified really. And so like now that I actually like, I'm confident, I'm like now excited to like see where it takes me. And so now I'm going to start putting out stuff and
now you can have
just keep
full-on
writing
fun
and
with it.
right.
Yeah.
And now I like seeing what and pushing the envelope and seeing, oh, am I capable? No, I can't do that yet. And so then I like start like recording what I'm not good at, and just seeing, and then I'll like record it again in a year and seeing like, wow, like, okay, I can do this. And like, I even did that this year. Like I posted a cover of me doing this song that like 4 years ago I tried singing it. I was like, like, oh, it was so bad. I was like, I can't sing this. This is awful. Devin, don't sing. But like, and like now I can, and like that's just really, and it's taken me 4 years to like get my confidence. So I'm like, now that I have my confidence, I'm excited to see what I actually am capable of doing. But yeah, I don't plan on stopping music until the day I die.
Yeah, that's the amazing part of growth. You just like you impress yourself.
Yeah. Literally, I was recording. I was like, oh, okay, look at me go. But yeah, like I live for those moments. I live for seeing my growth and just, you know, seeing what I'm capable of, because it's really exciting believing in yourself. And I know it sounds weird, but I'm just so used to not. And so it's really cool. And I'm excited to just keep doing it. And it's nice because like my brother also writes, and so like we'll like do stuff together and like work on this. And I'm like, hey, like, can you play on this? And like I'm on his EP, like singing a song with him. And so it's cool that it's like a family affair too. So it keeps you going.
Yeah, it's always good to just keep like-minded people around you.
Yeah.
And luckily, you live with them.
Yeah, literally. And like we're always
nice.
all on different floors. Like my mom has like her little bat cave in the basement, but the basement used to be like our like music area until we realized the whole house is now the music area. But like my piano's down there and Jordan's drum set's down there, and like we would have all the instruments down there, but then my dad's studio was in the attic. So like usually he'd be like up the stairs, and then we'd be downstairs, but then like we put our studio on the main floor. So now like he's usually in the studio upstairs, and then like Jordan's either in the studio upstairs or I'm in the studio upstairs, and then the other one of us is downstairs, like on the other floor.
You go,
right. And then we like got another piano. So now it's just like we're like always on like just different floors in the house, but like we're always all doing music. And so my mom's just like, which floor which studio are you in? But it really is so fun. And like especially because like my brother also has like so many insanely talented music friends, and so like sometimes I come home and like they're working on something, or he'll come home and like I'm working on something with my friends. And then like sometimes we have family jam sessions and we're just jamming, cool. And my dad invites his old bandmates over, and like we'll invite some of our friends, and we all just like switch off on instruments and just we're like, oh, let's do Africa by Toto, and like we just like jump in and like we'll see like who jumps on what harmonies. But it's fun just being in that creative circle with people who just love music and support each other.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. And then you people wonder why we get into this. Like, like how can you not want to?
Right. It's just, and especially like because I work so much and like just I live in a constant state of stress. And so it's just really nice to come home to that outlet, you know, and like whether it's like every night I go to bed and my dad's in the studio, and so like I like yell up good night, and half the time he doesn't say it back, and he's like, are you home yet? I was like, I literally yelled good night, but you had your headphones on. Like, but yeah, so it's just like one of us is always working. And so it's just, even if I'm not doing music, it's nice knowing that like he's doing music, and he's like turning 60. Wow, he's turning 60 this year. But he's still pursuing his dream, you know? And so it's just like, you're never too old to keep pushing, and he's never going to stop doing it. And he still performs, and sometimes like they'll be like missing a drummer, and so I'll have my brother fill in on a gig too. And so it's cool to like have them perform together. And even yesterday, like my dad, my brother, and I were all performing together. And so it's like cool to, not everybody gets to do that with their family. And so it's definitely awesome. Really cool. Like I'm like sitting at the piano and I'm like looking up, and my dad's right here, my brother's right in front of me. And so I'm super blessed to have opportunities like those where it's not even just at home, but like we're on stage together. And so it's super cool.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's like I also get the same question, like, oh, are you still doing music, or like how long are you gonna go for?
Yeah.
And I'm like till I die,
right?
Like, I don't know.
I mean, I plan on living for a pretty long time, so I guess we'll
like, I don't really have an answer for that,
right?
But I hate to cut us short.
No.
Not really short, because we've been here for more than an hour.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely you could always come back.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll be doing this, like I said, forever, I guess.
Cool. I'm down to come back.
Yeah,
this is dope.
It's awesome. I'm glad you could come through.
And thanks for having me.
Yeah, before we head out, do you want to like promote anything? Give any messages to people listening?
I mean, if you want to follow my music Instagram, it's Devin Marie Music on Instagram. But yeah, I'll be hopefully putting out an EP towards the end of this year, so look out for that. And yeah, and my band's pursuing JC, so if you want to check us out too, go for it. But yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, for sure. When you have that EP out, you should come back.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll talk about it a little bit.
Awesome, yeah.
Well, yes, thank you, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Yeah.
That was Devin Simpson.
Or you could be the one to lose.
Thank you, everybody, once again for listening and tuning in. This is one of the best birthday gifts you could ever give me because you're probably listening to this on my birthday or a couple days after. So, once again, if you actually want to give me something, it's always greatly appreciated. You can go to Crafts by Lissa and give me a custom whatever you want. Or you could just, you know, share the page or share the podcast with somebody else. Follow us on Instagram, or just straight up contact us to be on the podcast. We're always open for new guests and anybody really. I really do not care who comes on this. This is not any specific type of podcast. It's not like just for music people or just for females or males. You can be whatever sex you want, whatever ethnicity, whatever trade or occupation. Just feel free to come on and have a conversation with us. Once again, thank you. And thanks again. Once again, giving a shout out to Crest by Lissa, Hook Kickboxing, and Minds Together. See you next time.